Welcome back to another episode of the Boat Boss. My name is Kim Sweers and I am the host of Boat Boss, and today I am super excited to be ending 2021 with one of my most exciting guests, one of my dear friends and colleagues in the marine industry, Bob Denison, president and founder of Denison Yachting. Welcome to the Boat Boss.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Why did it take so long?
I know. I think we've been trying for almost a year and a half, 2 years to get you on the show.
No, you actually just asked me last week. You went through Chuck Cash with like a bunch of guys, and then you were finally like, I guess we could do Bob now.
Yes, we could. Well, I figured.
But I'm excited.
I'd save the best for last of 2021.
Perfect. Good.
And what an exciting year it's been, right?
Yeah, it's been an unbelievable year. Just totally amazing.
Well, let's start with family.
Okay.
I follow you on Facebook, and your life not only is crazy here at the office, you have like a whole caboodle of kids at home.
Yeah, we have a lot. We have a lot of kids. So my wife was homeschooled. I went to a really conservative Christian high school. Nobody told us how that whole thing works. So we just started having kids, and we haven't stopped. We have a 6-year-old boy who's going to be 7 tomorrow, a 4-year-old, 3-year-old, and 1-year-old daughter. 3 daughters, and it's awesome. It's the best part of our lives, and
their names are awesome. So it's River's birthday tomorrow.
Yep. So we got Rivers, and then he's got 3 little sisters: Nora, Summer, and Scout.
And how's Rivers liking that?
He doesn't like it too much. He wants a brother. So we're probably working on that. So.
Well, here we go.
Yeah.
Call it 5. Well, family's a big thing in the Denison.
Yep.
You know, in not just the community, but you guys. It's FOE, as I call it, family over everything.
Love that.
And your family has brought so much to South Florida and to the marine industry, and I don't think the world is aware of what impact you have had and your family has had. And behind me is a very key photo about the Denison Legacy here in South Florida. You know, people go on honeymoons for blissful romance and to get to know each other, and your grandparents did something really unorthodox. Tell us what happened on their honeymoon.
So they came down to Fort Lauderdale from Michigan in 1948. The interesting thing about that, in 1947, the fall of, kind of late summer, there was back-to-back hurricanes that hit Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So back then especially, there wasn't as much advance notice, and it was one of those, 2 of those very catastrophic storms that just annihilated the town. So not only were there, of course, casualties, but there was a lot of businesses that were just completely ruined, and water came out of nowhere from the skies and down below. And there's just a lot that was happening on that front. And they were down here, and they ended up having I don't know how they did it, but they had a meeting or a chance encounter with a man named Dooley, who had a yard called Dooley's. And they ended up buying his shipyard while they were on their honeymoon, which is insane to think about. I got married, I guess, about 10 years ago now. I was barely allowed to check my emails. And somehow they came down and ended up buying a shipyard and deciding to move from Michigan down here. And so they ended up raising my dad and his 2 brothers, my uncle Skip and Ken. And their house was right there on the property. And that was where Grandpappy and Shushi's house was my entire life growing up.
What a great story.
Yeah.
So 5 years later,
right,
it becomes Broward Marine.
Right.
And how did that, I mean, the name change was obviously they paid tribute to the county that the business was in.
Yeah, that's a nice way of saying it. I just don't think they were creative about that part of it. I mean, it's a great name, but it's just like Dooley's.
Right.
Well, I guess it's just like me now with
Denison.
Denison Yachting. Yeah, it's not very creative, but
it works, right?
And so, they bought the yard, and one of the things that was really cool about that purchase was they had a contract with the Allies, with NATO, to build minesweepers. When I say contract, they just had like a bid out. It wasn't done yet. And it was one of those crazy stories that's been passed down now to the 3rd generation. I'm a decent storyteller, so I'll probably continue to exaggerate it and make it sound even crazier to my kids. But part of that story was my grandparents at the last minute, a few days left before to get the bids in, jumped in their station wagon. My grandmother in the backseat with the typewriter, just typing in the bid and putting in just the paperwork for the submission process. They didn't land. They drove up to DC, ran up the steps, and submitted it at the last minute and got approved. And what was so cool about that was it was a massive order for minesweepers. and it was a big deal to the local economy when they really
Sure.
needed it, and it resulted in Broward Marine becoming the largest employer here in South Florida for a number of years, creating those minesweepers.
And I understand I'm a big history person. History
Yeah.
to me is probably one of the greatest things if you take the social and the political aspects at
Yep.
it. There's a lot of fun stories.
Yeah, totally.
And your family has got so much history.
Yep.
And you know, when you talk about the minesweeper and the project and how they couldn't build the boat
Right.
up the river, so
Yep.
half of it was built at the Port Everglades,
Yeah,
and the
so-
other half was built in the yard.
Right. So they got the bid, and then was a journalist, I think, now it's the Sun Sentinel. Back then, I think it was called the Fort Lauderdale Daily Times or Daily News, and I forget what the old name was. But anyway, a journalist found the bid and saw that the minesweepers were going to be too deep to be able to float down the New River, and also too wide. So they immediately said, "What does this newcomer to town, Frank Denison, think he's doing?" And there was a story that they ran called Frank's Folly, sort of exposing
Right.
this madman that decided to take this giant contract that didn't make any sense for the local waterways. So my grandfather and grandmother, extremely creative people, and they worked with the local commissioners, and they actually were able in a very short amount of time to widen the Andrews Avenue Bridge to
Really?
fit
Wow.
them through, which is, could you imagine that
can
today?
imagine, yeah.
It was a very pro-business environment here at the time, and they literally widened the bridge so they could float down. And when I say float down, it was only partly built, to your point, at Broward, which is up the New River quite a ways. It's actually now called Lauderdale Marine Center.
Sure.
So it's way up there. And then what they would do, because it was too shallow in the New River, so my grandfather had the armaments and all the other parts of the minesweepers that would make it really heavy. Had all of those pieces of the minesweepers assembled and put on the boat there. So they were able to float it down the New River lightly loaded, so it barely made its way through, and then they would complete it down at the port.
Outstanding.
So, yeah, and so they made the bid, hired a bunch of people, and for many years just brought a lot of economic, the impact of that was huge for Fort Lauderdale at the time.
Absolutely, and it really built out the marine industry when you think about all the tradesmen that came from that.
Yeah.
And largest employer in South Florida or in Broward at the time, which is outstanding.
Yep.
So let's take it from Broward went from being a huge government contractor to being America's largest yacht builder
Yeah,
at the time. So how did that transition happen?
Yeah, we're really proud of that. So when the contract for those minesweepers ran out, of course, my grandparents had assembled what they had believed to be some of the most talented boat builders in the country. And they did what some other shipyards did at the time as well, was they started to look for new business on the private yacht side. And a very prominent yacht owner and designer approached my grandparents at that point and very much liked the idea of the people that were building these ships, these naval vessels, these minesweepers, to be the person that built his next yacht.
Right.
So that happened, and it really, after that first boat was built, it was just order after order after order, not to make it seem easy at all.
No,
but they kind of really hit a flow, and from, I would say, 1960 something, I should have the exact year, up until when my grandparents sold Broward, they were responsible for more boats being built in the world over 60 feet than anybody.
That's
and at the time, back in the
fantastic.
60s and 70s, 60, 70, 80 foot boats were considered really large. And yeah, and we as a family are just starting to talk about that a little bit more because we're so proud of the things that
Absolutely,
they
and you
did and the
should,
people
rightfully so.
that work there. Yeah.
So you go to college.
Yes.
And you come back thinking maybe I'll enter the family business. Is that
Right.
what happened? And then
Exactly.
tell us what happened.
So yeah, I actually graduated college in 1999, the University of Miami, and we
Canes.
that year, when I say we, my grandfather sold the company, sold Broward, and that was sort of a little bit of a heartbreaking thing for me. I just throughout high school and college, sort of thought
Sure.
that would be the thing that I would do. By the way, not that would be good at building anything. My wife builds all of like our IKEA furniture or stuff we get from City Furniture. Like I can't do it. So I don't know what I thought I was going to do other than maybe some marketing and PR, but I thought I would be part of that story in some way. And the company was sold. So I worked from 99 till 2001 working for a few companies. One of them was an internet company, the other was an aviation company. And a few years after that, in 2001, jumped into yacht brokerage.
And so were you working with someone else? You started Denison right then and there?
Yeah, when I say I should probably be more complete in that. So my father at the time had a company called Denison Yacht Sales, brought me in with a few other guys, and that's when we really started to do it. But it was out of my house for the first 2 years, I think, and we were, it was a hard time to start selling yachts. About 3 months after I jumped in, it was, 9/11 happened, and if you were in the marine industry then, it was definitely one of those difficult times, scary times for a lot of people, and it was a hard start.
So how many offices are you at now?
So back then it was 0. We were out of my house. Now we're at 23 offices, kind of up and down the East Coast and the West Coast of the U.S. Any place that you would think of would be like a fun place to go boating, whether it's Annapolis or Charleston or Newport, Rhode Island, and then on the other side, Seattle and Marina Del Rey, and then we have a bunch of offices here in Florida.
And how many brokers or salespeople do you have with you now?
We have 110 brokers, and we have about 50-something employees to support those brokers.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Take us back to COVID. I know I love to hear the COVID, how, as a business owner and a leader of your company, walk us through that. You're having probably the best year of your life in 19, and then enter 20, and it was going great. What happened?
Back 2019 was a really wild year for everybody. For us, it was especially wild. The very first part of 2019, in January, we suffered a really brutal hack. And you hear a lot about that now, but back then it was like really uncharted territory for a lot of people, definitely uncharted territory for us. And it was a really hard experience for me personally and the company. But we were down. Our emails were down. The website was down. We had some people holding up all of those things for quite a bit of money. And luckily, we have some really smart people on the other side of that wall that helped us out-hack the hackers. Over a coffee, I'll tell you more details about that one day. But it was a really, really hard and great story at the same time. We came out of that, and about 2 months later, COVID surfaced. So what was interesting about the hack time, though, we got really good as a company communicating as a group, using things like Zoom and GoToMeet, and we really, really had it dialed in terms of like how to operate virtually. And I wouldn't say we're like really well prepared for a work at home.
But you were prepared enough.
We were, I think, prepared than most, So COVID hit, as you know, is absolutely terrifying, especially for 5 or 6 weeks. We had a lot of canceled orders, and you've heard this story many, many times before, but at some point the lights turned on, and it was like somebody flipped a switch, and we just got all those contracts back and then some. And then we've been on that same wave till now.
So how many, I remember we had coffee recently, and you told me you almost sold 1,000 boats. I mean, how many boats have you actually sold this year?
Yeah, so in 2019, we had a record year. We sold over 1,000 boats and yachts. This year, we haven't figured out the exact number, but it's going to exceed that. And it's been really wild. I think one of the things that's been special for us, why we were pretty well prepared for this, was we had a really, really strong team and strong library of people on the team side to do things like virtual showings and video walkthroughs and showing people a yacht not in person. We're already doing that. And then on the library side, we were able to do this thing called the virtual boat show, because we already had a few hundred boats that we had virtual tours for and walkthrough videos. And we were able to get kind of a head start on that.
No, I saw that boat show, and hats off to you and your team. You were the first ones to do it.
Yeah.
You did a fantastic job.
Thanks.
So after COVID, now let's look at what Denison is now.
Yep.
So what keeps Bob Denison up at night? What are some of the things, like coming out of COVID, what keeps you up at night?
Oh, there's so many things. I mean,
besides your 1-year-old.
I still, Scout does keep me up at night. I still freak out about the hacking thing. It's something that I still probably have just nightmares about, and it just stresses me out. I'm kind of a paranoid person anyway, in terms of I'm constantly trying to figure out how we might be kind of outmaneuvered, or maybe somebody is taking care of a client in a new, cool, better way than we are. So we're constantly, and it's not just me, are trying to figure out how we can make the client experience better, and we're like obsessed about it.
That's good.
So we get a ton of inspiration from real estate. We get a ton of inspiration from automotive, and we're like an unsettled group for sure. Like,
well, they say, you're your best competition if you look inside yourself, and it seems like that's what you and your team are doing.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job, and I probably should admit this, but we really don't look to our own industry for a lot of those ideas and concepts. We're really looking kind of outward. We should probably pay attention a little bit more, because there's some really good firms lately that have been doing some great stuff. But when you look at real estate, when you look at aviation, when you look at automotive, there's just such scale there, and there are people with really big brains and really big budgets doing things that a lot of people in yachting can't do. Absolutely. So we look to that for inspiration and try to figure out how to make it make sense for our clients.
Well, you have a great team, and I love following. If you don't follow Bob on social, you have to. One of the posts he does, like actually every day, seems like, is a post that is a shout out. Another win for the good guys. Right. Another one sold by the good guys. Yeah. Keep that up. I love it.
Maybe,
I love to see that.
Thank you.
But your culture, I'm a huge believer in culture. Culture is the reason why people come to an organization and they have not jobs, they have careers. Yep. How did you build this amazing culture here at Denison?
I don't know. I think culture is a hard thing for me even to define here. I don't know really what it looks like or how to describe it other than I badly want this to be a place that our employees and brokers want to come to work. Sure. And it's sort of a vague cliche thing, I guess, to say, but we just try to think of creative ways to make people here feel like not only are they making a difference, but they've got the room, like a little elbow room to be different, and a little elbow room to feel really comfortable in who they are. And we are just lucky to have, again, on the other side of this wall, some of the most talented people that are given great liberty and freedom to do creative things. And I don't know when that sort of started to really happen. But I love it. Yeah. And it's the thing about work. You end up spending some days and weeks more time with the people you work with and the people that you live with in your own family. So to have an office like this be a place where people are excited to come to is freaking so important to us.
Oh, absolutely. So you have so many different brokerages out there, as you know. Yeah. What makes you so different? What makes Denison unique?
I think we're a pretty gritty bunch. We are always digitally focused, and when you combine like technology and anything that can be described with the word digital, you combine that stuff with the obsession of taking care of clients. I think a cool thing happens, and so that's kind of us. It probably sets us apart from being different. Take like cryptocurrency, for example. I think we're still one of the only firms that's taking crypto. We're definitely the only firm that's done more than 10 transactions. Actually, I think so. There may have been somebody else that does it, but just way more subtle about it than we are. But like that thing isn't just because we're trying to be digitally minded. We accept crypto and we allow clients to pay for boats with Bitcoin because we want to make the yacht buying process easier for people.
Absolutely.
So it's like the obsession of how do we make things easier? How do we go to the client and not have the client come to us and say things like, this is how it's always been done. This is the form you have to use. This is industry standard. Like, we try to stay away from words like that, and we try to figure out ways for the client to invite us to figure out how to make things better and easier for them. So the crypto thing is a good example. And that same year, I flew to Hong Kong to open up a multi-currency account, including things like euro, Chinese dollar, and all that stuff, so that foreign clients could safely put their money in escrow in a local currency and not have to worry about this stuff. So it's all of those things that we do. Some are sort of techie crypto stuff. Others of it are just getting in an airplane, going to Hong Kong, which at the time was the only place you could do it. And it's just that obsession to make the client experience a better one.
Well, great job at it. So you have all these new things that you're doing, but what does 2022 look like for you? 2022,
yeah, that's a lot of stuff happening. We just opened up an office in Monaco.
Oh, wow.
So we've never been there with a flag in the ground. We have that, and we have people in the office led by a great guy named Jeremy, and we are really committed to making that marketplace something that we have an impact on. So you'll be hearing a lot about that this year, or the upcoming year. And we are also, in the coming year, going to be doing more and more things related to crypto, NFTs, just things that are attached to like what might boat buying and yacht selling and chartering look like in the future. So we want to be the first ones to be at the table and have a seat at those conversations.
Well, you're definitely a forward thinker. When you look at everything from the crypto to the brands you represent, we haven't even talked about that. I mean, how many brands do you represent right now? Because I know everyone thinks you're just brokerage, but you actually.
So we're doing more and more on the new construction side and the new boat side. Beneteau, not only on the sailboat side, but the power, so Monte Carlo, Swift trawlers, now the Grand Trawler, the GTs, huge brand partner of ours. Really excited about New Marine in Turkey.
Sure.
Just absolutely, we've got many boats over there with U.S. clients under construction right now, and some of the coolest designs you've ever seen. And we're also a stocking dealer for DeFore, sailboats on the West Coast, XS catamarans, Bertram. The new boat side of it's really, really cool. Just Friday, we sold a new Alpha out of Turkey. There's a lot of really neat stuff happening on the new boat side.
And charter's big too. Charter's a big
huge,
thing. I mean, I know you've done well in that area. You think there's a big future in charter still?
Yeah, huge. I think it was actually the fastest growing vertical or segment of our company the last 2 years was charter. And going back to the things that keep me up late at night, one of those things is definitely shared consumption, which is essentially charter.
Absolutely.
We call it yacht charter, but it's really peer-to-peer. And I think on the day charter front, there is just a hell of an opportunity there for somebody in the brokerage side of things to figure that out. We are going to do it for sure. So tying in what keeps me up at night and 2022, I really would like to try to figure out how to do the day charter thing really well, not only as a separate part of the business, but I also think it's just a great thing to offer clients, and it might be a good feeder into the brokerage or new boat sales. And I don't think on the day charter front there's a brand yet nationally that's really recognized as the place to do that. So that's going to be something I think we'll attack next year too.
Well, you're a busy guy. You've got a lot to do.
Yeah.
We better get you back to work.
Let's do it.
Well.
Hold on. You're not allowed to conclude until you said I could plug our magazine.
That's right. And this actually is a great, if you have not picked up Frank, it's a great magazine.
We got two. We got two of them. So there's a first edition and a second one. We're doing them twice a year. It's named after my grandfather, Frank. If you do want a copy, by the way, you can't go anywhere to get it.
Really?
It's because it's our little corporate magazine. It's hidden as our corporate magazine. But it's not going to be like at Borders or an airport or anything like that. We're just not that cool yet, but we have about 10,000 of them to our clients and friends and stuff. And if you want one, go online and we will send you one for free.
And if you haven't, I highly recommend it. It's great stories, fashion, about people, team members, all in here. Great job.
It's freaking amazing. And guess what? Something you may not have known. Every story on the inside is this illustrated cover. So this right here reflects the stuff inside. I thought that was amazing. Cool. That was my idea. Cool. I think it was my idea. But anyway, that's Frank Magazine. Check it out. The greatest magazine that's ever been created. Ever. Not only in the yachting industry, but ever.
Well, speaking of the yachting industry, you and your family are really pioneers and forward thinkers, and we wouldn't be where we are today in the marine industry if it wasn't for the Denisons. So hats off to you, your family. We can't thank you enough for making us the yachting capital of the world.
Thank you, Kim.
So you're a busy guy.
Yes.
So the boat boss is signing off with the yacht boss, because we have stuff to do, right?
We got crap to do.
We've got crap to do. So as I always say, whether you live, work, or play on the water, just get on the water, because there's nothing better than a lifestyle on the water. Signing off for 2021. Bob, give me a pound. Wish you only the best, my friend.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
To everyone, wishing you and your family a joyous holiday season and an epic, epic 2022. Take care.
Bye. So before COVID became a thing, the very first part of the year, it was in January. That's our attorney, Andrew High.
Should probably let him in.
No, sorry, we should have done a better job marking that.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Do you know Kim?
I don't.
That's okay.
I'm totally embarrassed.
No, that's fine. Do you mind going down to that door?
Yes.
Sorry, it's kind of all set up here. Thank you, dude. This is where the editing needs to freaking just make sense of this.